Ladies and gentlemen, welcome here tonight to another edition of NASCAR 05 on the channel. We got races 3 and 4 on the Featherlite Modified Series for you guys here tonight. Again, a doubleheader because these modified races really don't take very long, and we're going to fly through these two races. We've got Martinsville and we've got Nazareth here today. Of course, Martinsville still on the NASCAR slate of schedules nowadays, but Nazareth, on the other hand, is a track that is closed down after the 2004 season, to be exact. They closed down, so a little bit of a fantasy track here. You're going to be running a track that is no longer on any of the top 3 touring series in NASCAR. We'll be racing there with the modifieds as well. Cab 24, Tyler Burback, welcome to the stream. Modifieds, yes indeed, modified series action here tonight. Racing as our driver, your fan-voted driver from last Wednesday when we started this during Speed Weeks, and that is Chuck Spicer. So yeah, qualified on the pole with Chuck Spicer for Martinsville. And we're just going to get right on into it. A half-mile short track to start things off. 150 laps. Green flag is in the air, and we are underway. Oh, man, look at these guys sending it into turn 1. There's already some contact up the middle with the third-place car to try to go 3 wide for the lead. And the second-place driver is going to actually be the one to lead lap 1 over Chuck Spicer, who started on the pole. Jeff McFarland, who was able to lead lap 1. I just got my new controller today, but I do not have it in right now. The lap traffic will obviously become a factor after all at Martinsville. Remember, only 22 cars filled this modified series field, so it might be a little bit longer before lap traffic is caught, but all these laps have to be ran under green. There are no cautions in this series. So if there is an accident of some sort, especially on this tight of a racetrack, oh boy, it could be very, very treacherous. Milwaukee was tight, but it was an extra half mile in length, so it took a little bit longer to get around the racetrack. And it was obviously a lot wider as well. Kind of starting things off in a hurry here tonight. I want to try to get this done as soon as we can, get you guys out of here. If you're on the East Coast or in the Eastern time zone like I am, it'll be a little bit of a late night. But we should be able to get both of these races done by 11 at the very latest. Spicer's been bouncing off the curbs quite a bit, just slightly overdriving the corner. I'll have the new controller ready to go tomorrow before our truck race. Actually, we'll probably end up running the Busch race tomorrow. Busch Series at Rockingham, I think, is going to be the plan. So Busch Series racing at Rockingham. Ethan, welcome to the stream. Tyler, see you got your... Oh, sorry, no, it was Ethan. Ethan, you got your predictions in for the road course. Yeah, I've done all my research for it. I saw the starting lineup. Well, I should say I saw that they had the starting lineup out. And the only thing I read was that Chase Elliott's on the pole. But I didn't see anything else with the starting lineup because I was at work today. And I just went to my sister's basketball game, pretty much within a half hour of me getting home from work. Just enough to edit the video I started yesterday, that I recorded yesterday and got that uploaded while I was gone, just in case I couldn't stream tonight, because I was really unsure of when we were going to get home. Jeff McFarland is just pulling away from the rest of the field right now. Spicer's holding it down in second place pretty well, but we'll see. Spicer coming off a win in the last race at Milwaukee. We had a thriller of a race last week. I was driving in the snow. I didn't have to drive in the snow yesterday. Luckily. We had, at least in Ohio, we have like levels. We were on like a level 3, which is like the max. They don't want you on the roads. So if it gets to that point, at least with my work, we don't have to come in. Like, we're still open. Most places are still open, but you're not obligated to go in. Because legally they want you off the roads if at all necessary. A little contact after Spicer bounced off the curb. He had a car to his outside. Spicer's just kind of holding these guys up, perhaps, in second place. Really overran the corner. He hit the curbing that time, and he didn't check up any more than what he probably should have. Caused him to go a little wide and into the wall. Nothing too much damage-wise. Gotta be careful making contact with these open-wheel modifieds. Very easy to roll them over, even on a half-mile short track like this where you're barely going over 100 miles an hour. Dropping it down to about 70, 75 at the corners. And gas it back up to about 120 before you get into the braking zone, if that. No, there's no Daytona or Talladega with the modifieds. These engines would not be able to hold that. The biggest track, I believe, is Rockingham, which is just over a mile. I guess Nazareth maybe too. I think that's just over a mile in length also. I guess both of those tracks would be the bigger tracks. Old Spice Speedway, that's a road course, so I guess that probably is the actual biggest in length. But that's because it's a road course. And that's a fantasy track anyway too. I don't know if it's possible to DNF or not. I know there's no cautions, but I'm sure you can still crash out. Luckily, we haven't seen a bad accident in the first two races, at least to really test that theory. Spicer is starting to cut into the lead. He's hitting his marks a lot better here, now that we're already 20 laps in. So 150 caution-free laps at Martinsville. Trust me, this first race is going to fly by tonight. Only a 16-race schedule, remember, as well. Going to try to do these modified races every Wednesday, if possible. At least till we get to the end of the season. That's only going to make for an 8-week schedule, but short and sweet, but a lot of fun at the same time. No, modifieds do not race at Darlington. At least not in this game. Again, this is a 2004 schedule. But majority of the schedule isn't even the same anyway. There are very, very few tracks that you actually race at in this game with the modifieds. And what the schedule they give you for the modifieds versus what they would have actually raced at. And a lot of it is because of licensing. And not being able to race at other tracks like New Smyrna and stuff like that. South Boston. The Daytona backstretch. That would have been a cool one. The only tracks I can think of that are actually tracks they race on would be Martinsville. I don't know if they race at Milwaukee. I want to say they do. New Hampshire. I know for a fact they race there. I really don't know any of the other tracks that they might have raced at that we are racing at on this. Not entirely sure. I don't think they race at Bristol. They'd be going a little too fast with it being open wheel around Bristol. They race at a lot of like the flatter tracks. Excuse me. Less banking than short tracks. Chuck Spicer is closing in on the race leader. Got to about that lap 15 to lap 20 mark, and he really just started to close the gap. It's going to be really hard to pass the race leader, though, without a lot of help. It's not like Milwaukee, what you saw in the last race last Wednesday, where you can get a good draft down the straightaways. Again, half mile shorter of a racetrack than what Milwaukee is. Patrick Shatterley, welcome to the stream. Spicy looks good so far. Yeah, qualified on the pole. Ran second the whole race, a little tap to the back of McFarland, but actually kind of shot McFarland ahead of him a little bit. Spicer maybe going to try to take a look to the outside, fake low, really trying to diamond the corner off. And now he's on the inside of McFarland into the corner. McFarland didn't give him a lot of room, though. There isn't a lot of room to go about at Martinsville. So there was a little bit of contact made. And Chuck Spicer to the lead into turn 3. Despite qualifying on the pole, it took him 33 laps to lead his first lap of the race, but that will be 5 bonus points. Still got a good shot at leading the most. He can now just continue to hold on to the race lead. And third and fourth place are starting to close in on now the new second place driver of McFarland as well. He's got to try to stay off the curbing as much as he possibly can. He's really throwing these race cars around. By the way, Patrick, again, congratulations for winning week 1 of our Fantasy Live League, the Daytona 500. Andrew Hollenbach, welcome to the stream as well. How many inches of snow did I get? So we were supposed to get 10 to 14 from like Monday, yeah, like 10 to 14 from Monday night into like Tuesday, like late morning, right around noon Tuesday was when it stopped snowing. And that seems about right, because even if we weren't under a level 3 for whatever reason, which like every county in Northwest Ohio was under a level 3. There was only, because it goes by counties, there was only one county that was under a level 2, which that sucks for whoever has to work in that county, but yeah, we had 10 to 14 inches of snow. And we already had about a good, 3 to 5 inches, roughly, on the ground before that. Because it had snowed, 4 or 5 days prior, and it didn't melt before then because it's been too cold for it to even melt. So, I mean, it's, piled on. If you go out in the country where the plows have... Well, even, the streets in town, the plow, did a great job plowing the streets off, both in the country and in our small town. And I mean, it's just I've never seen so much snow on the ground here. It's been a long time since I have, at least. It's just mounded up. You go to a corner of a parking lot, and it's just this giant, tall hill of ice and snow just pushed off to the side. Just these giant snowbanks. Yeah, we pretty much got snowed in. My mom and dad didn't go into work either on Wednesday. Everybody just got snowed in. But I wouldn't have been able to get out of my driveway anyway. There was too much. Me and my dad spent about 2.5 to 3 hours shoveling the driveway. From I went out at 11:30 in the morning, didn't go in until 2, and he was out just before me, but he was taking breaks and I wasn't. So we were both out there for about 2.5 hours, roughly. We were out there about the same amount of time. Between trying to shovel the sidewalk, shovel the back deck so we can get the dogs out, and shoveling the driveway, which was the hardest part, because we have a driveway width-wise to get 3 cars and 2 deep. So I mean, that was just a pain. That's what took the most part. I mean, that alone took over 2 hours, and then The sidewalk took like maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes at the most. That's a lot. Like usually it takes me 10 minutes just to scrape it off. Like when we had 3 to 5 inches the other day, I was able to just like I shoveled the sidewalk myself, no problem. I got it done in like 10, 15 minutes. And 2 people took like 20, 25 minutes. Just how much more snow we had. Because you couldn't like scoop it all up in one. You had to go like layer by layer. Because there was a lot of ice underneath too, so it made it kind of heavy. Got a blown engine on the inside of the racetrack, so we have our first driver that is going to exit today's race. Almost a third of the way through, we're almost at lap 50 already as Chuck Spicer leads this race. He took the lead. He was about 3 seconds back, just less than 3 seconds back when he started the charge at about lap 15 to lap 20. But he has not been able to pull away at all. It has been bumper to bumper with the top 2. I believe it is still McFarland in second. So somehow or another, he just kind of lost the lead. Not really long straightaways here at Martinsville to draft with these modifieds. But he's hanging in there. He's definitely changed his lineup one way or another. Oh, look, contact! It's actually Danny Ross who's in second, so that would explain. McFarland has fallen outside the top 2 at least. And is still fading, but Danny Ross looks really, really fast. I haven't really heard of that name yet. I haven't really seen him in the top 10 at all, really, in these first 2 races. But here at Martinsville, running second, trying to take the lead for the first time today. Yeah, Spicer's got a good car, but that second place driver really wants to go. He might be faster, and Spicer's going to try to hold him back, but we still got 98 laps to go. That is a long time for Spicer to try and hold on to the lead the rest of this race. And they've already made contact once. Yeah, the new Auto Club is supposed to be a combination of, like, Martinsville. It's supposed to be longer straightaways like Martinsville, but they want higher bank corners like Bristol. So, like, you're going to have, like, these long straightaway like here, but it'll be a little bit faster and you won't have to brake as much because it'll be higher bank like Bristol, is what they're trying to mod it as, at least. Not sure what the actual turnout. I don't know if it's going to be asphalt or concrete either. I have no clue if it's going to be asphalt or concrete. I would assume it's going to be asphalt because they want to keep like the front stretch the same, so it'll probably be like a curved front stretch still. So it'll be like that tri-oval, and then you'll have just like a, but not like the full tri-oval, but it'll be kind of like a wide tri-oval, and basically where pit road is now, I would assume, is probably where like the back straightaway would be. That's what I'm guessing. I was just trying to visualize it in my brain. Spicer got really loose off turn 2. The car really jumps out of shape off the curbing on the inside. Car jumps so easily. Of course, these cars are a lot lighter than any of the other top 3 touring series that races at Martinsville. Whether it's in a truck or a stock car. Now the third place car is closing in. Danny Ross needs to get around Spicer as soon as he can because third place is starting to close this gap as well. Still no lap traffic yet, despite the fact we're almost to lap 60. Again, from top to bottom, this field is very, very competitive this season. It's kind of been like that the first couple races, and you're seeing it again here in this one. Little bounce off the curb, a little wide goes Spicer, a little loose. Going to try to protect the bottom and make Ross pass him on the outside if he can help it. Wonder how desperate Ross might be to use the bumper here because he's got company from behind him. It's a 3-horse race for the lead with 90 laps to go at Martinsville this time by. Spicer a little bit wider that time. Ross couldn't quite squeeze under him. Wasn't quite enough room to squeeze underneath. But boy, if he can just stay in that position, he'll have a shot for the lead really at any given time. As his marks about as perfectly as he could. Ross almost swung a little too wide in 1 and 2 last time. Almost gave up second place. He's got to be careful of that. Ashton G, welcome to the stream. What are the 6 schools you applied to for college? It's in a state with the racetrack. Man, that's it? Only one? Were you looking at schools in like the Northwest or something? If that would be the case, or maybe the upper Northeast would kind of be like that too. Maybe like way up Northeast. You can see the lap times these guys are running as well are very similar to Cup Series lap times, if not a little bit faster, and that's just because of how light these cars are compared to the Cup cars. Lower horsepower and a lighter car is making for faster lap times. These guys are putting up some really good times. That was an 18.0 that last time, and that was actually the fastest lap Spicers ran this entire race, an 18.096. That last lap, so very impressive to do that 67 laps into the race and into this run. Again, no pit stops in this series as well as no cautions. So that's why you can't make a mistake, because it can be very, very costly. And there was a minimal mistake that time by the second place driver of Ross, and I think he hit that curbing on entry into turn 1 and bounced him wide. He does hang on to second, but now he's about a half a second behind Spicer, the race leader. Again, Busch Series action tomorrow night at Rockingham on NASCAR 05. Chase for the Cup. Full race live stream there. Should be a lot of fun, as our coverage will begin at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So definitely tune in for that one. Again, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow for Rockingham. NASCAR Busch Series action. Right here on KRC. Still a good race between the top 3. Fourth place hasn't really closed the gap yet. And still no lap traffic. I am very surprised. We are nearly halfway through this thing and still no lap traffic. Again, there will be by the end of this race. And only one driver is out so far. So 21 of them are still on the lead lap. Spicer trying to go for back-to-back wins. Maybe these flatter racetracks are what he needs. He finished 8th at Red Bull to start the season, led the most laps that day, but unfortunately could not get the win and fell back to 8th after getting into the wall off turn 2. Just one mistake proved a little too costly, and luckily here in this one, he hasn't really made that huge mistake. See the rubber really laying down on corner entry on the concrete, that black. Not so much in turns 3 and 4, but turns 1 and 2. You really start to see it. Yeah, right there. Really see that rubber laying in turns 1 and 2. Might cause these cars to get slick. We still got half a race to go. 75 laps complete this time. By 75 to go as Ross looks to the inside going into turn 1, but he's not going to have to run down the straightaway. One of these times he's going to have to beat Spicer back to the gas, or going to have to use the lap cars to pit when they get to lap traffic. I think that's where you're really going to see passing start within the top 3. They're just kind of staying content with one another, not looking to make a pass now. They're saving their stuff for the end, even though Ross wants to lead a lap as soon as he can to get 5 bonus points, just in case he can't win this race. But I don't see him getting around Spicer unless Spicer makes a huge mistake. Not Rossi. But Ross couldn't always send it in deep, and he did, and he goes wide. He sent it in way too deep. Ross gives up the bottom. They're side by side for second place into turn 3. And again, not sure who the third place car is from behind at least. Spicer holds on to the lead, right back out to about a half a second again. But we have a new second place driver as Ross is back to third. Billy Kramer, welcome to the stream. Again, don't go anywhere after the conclusion of this race. We will be racing at Nazareth up next year with the Modified Series as well. Saw how good that second race was last week in our doubleheader for the Modified Series at Milwaukee. Oop. Spicer overran turns 3 and 4. It wasn't enough to allow the second place car to get under him at least, though. The rate this is going, you almost wonder if they're going to catch live traffic. Things got spaced apart so quickly, but the times haven't really fallen off as much as what you would think they would from first back to, again, 21st as far as the 21 drivers on the lead lap. The only driver lap down is the one driver who was up in smoke and is out of the race after blowing an engine. The way the field is, lap traffic shouldn't be a pain. Yeah, it's not congested together, but the problem is how much speed the back half of those lap cars are being able to maintain, because right now these top 3 are just not able to close in on them. And Ross shoots the gap to the inside for second place. So they're going at it for second. They're going back and forth here over the last handful of laps. But none of them are able to get around Spicer. And a lot of it is the clean air Spicer's got. Ross back to second place. We'll see if he can make a move. Try to win his first race of the year. Get ourselves 3 different winners in the first 3 races of the season if he can get the victory. Oh, in the wall, off turn 2 goes Ross. That's going to give Spicer about a 7/10 of a second lead at the line this time. Ross went really wide. He tried to shoot the gap into turns 1 and 2 the last time he was in second. That costed him the spot. He is still in second place now, but he hit the wall. And then Spicer gets loose off turn 2 the next lap after hitting the curbing on the inside and maybe jumping back to the throttle a little too early because of it. So that 7 car length gap now cuts down to about 2 to 3. Spicer just keeps hitting the bottom line. I don't see him losing this race. Unless things get physical, which is always a possibility as well. Can alternate through the different camera angles for the first time in this race today. I should say the only time in this race today. I guess we'll do it again in a little bit too. Spicer just tries to hold on to it. Ooh, got a little loose off turn 2. He's still trying to catch the car. He almost overcorrected it. But he does file himself right back into line again. We'll see if Ross can make a move. Really hugging that inside off turn 4. These guys are definitely pulling in on those lap cars, at least the bottom 2 in the running order that are still on the lead lap. Spicer overran turns 1 and 2, went a little wide. If Ross tries to shoot the gap into 3, he might have a chance. Oh, he tried. Look at how wide he went in the center of the corner. He definitely drove it in deep. He gives that gap right back up to Spicer again. I'm just not sure what kind of a move Spicer's going to make. It's one of those things, he's got to be patient, just kind of hold his line, but at the same time, if he's too patient, he will get past. That traffic definitely decided the race at Red Bull, the first race of the season, and costed Spicer a chance to win. Then he got through it a little bit better at Milwaukee, which helped him get the victory. So what will this race bring? This is one of those flatter tracks, so maybe it will be like Milwaukee, but again, although they're both flatter tracks, they're not really comparable, with one being a half mile and a lot tighter with concrete corners, and another one being a mile in length. Granted, Milwaukee's got concrete corners as well, though. At least on the inside grooves, much like Martinsville. Another blown engine. Second driver now to exit today's race. Those guys are not only battling for position, but again, they're battling to try and stay in the lead lap. So they're not going to be an easy out as far as these leaders trying to get around them. Lap 100. We'll have 50 laps to go, this time by 2/3 of the way home. Here tonight at Martinsville. Spicer's slowly starting to gap second place. I mean, he's practically in dirty air now. I think the funny thing about those drivers blowing an engine and being on pit road is the fact that the first driver that blew an engine, it was before lap 50, and that car's still in smoke. It's hilarious. It's like it's basically been on fire for over 50 laps. Guess they'll need a new chassis while they're at it. Wade Davis is the first lap car, and Spicer overruns the exit of turn 4. Still a 3-horse race right now, but still this many laps left, coming to 45 to go. Now lap traffic's in the picture for the first time today. You can't count anybody out of it, really. Spicer's going to have to be really, really smart. I don't think he's close enough to send it to the inside. Oh! Turned a little bit too much there. Spicer's having to protect for the lead into turn 1. Oh, in the wall. Ross overdrives it into the pit wall. Spicer got loose on exit of the corner, but Spicer just drove it into the inside wall, getting into turn 1. He goes wide, and Ross is now back to 3rd, buying Spicer a little bit more time. Just over a half-second lead, and we'll see if he can try to get around the lap car of Wade Davis once again. Maybe going to try the outside. That's not going to work. Undercuts it. He was able to do that because he had a gap on the second-place car, but it definitely allowed second place to close in. These corners are just so tight. And again off the curbing. Ross to the inside for second. So lap traffic is definitely a huge factor here. So Ross has just gotten his second spot back. I don't think there's any clean way to do this. And the problem with a bump You never know, it could roll the race car, and you don't want to risk that, obviously. 40 laps to go, so how aggressive do you get with the lap traffic? Still early in the season, but points could be hard to come by late in the year. Spicer really tried to back that corner up. There is a little contact, but if anything, that just kind of shot Davis out in front of him a little more. So definitely a risky move trying to do that, and did not work. And now he's got room to breathe again. Rossi in the wall. It doesn't matter whether it's the inside wall or the outside wall. Rossi keeps getting into the wall. And I keep calling him Rossi when his name's Ross. Open wheel. See the ROSS, I immediately think of Alexander Rossi, but not the case. Man. It just seems like Davis is kind of beating him off the exit of the corner with how deep Spicer is driving it in. And maybe now he can make the move. He actually beat him back to the gas that time, and he is underneath. And finally, he's going to put Wade Davis a lap down. And no, not the Kansas City Royals pitcher, Wade Davis. Actually, I guess he played for the Rockies last time. I don't know what team he plays for anymore now, but he's not the pitcher. Oh man, car in the wall off turn 4 in a terrible spot. Race leader Spicer just missed him. Really bad accident there. And a very, very blind spot. Spicer spotted it out and warned him of it. Luckily he didn't run wide off the corner. That would have been terrible. And that's the disadvantage of not having any cautions. Especially in the nighttime here. That probably made it a lot harder to see than what it would have been in the daytime. But all the leaders missed him somehow. And we now have 4 drivers out of this race. Well, 3, unless he just spun and he was able to get it back going again. Spicer loose. And it kind of hits the inside wall on the exit of the corner after hitting the curbing and getting loose. Still 32 laps to go, and still somehow leads. Track position is definitely king here today at Martinsville. You can definitely tell. And I'm sure that last lap car is going to get in the way before the finish. Then they should be clear of lap traffic the rest of the way. Man, Rossi hard into the braking zone. I'm going to keep calling him Rossi, and I'm not going to keep correcting myself, so if I call him Rossi, just know I mean Ross. Hopefully I don't butcher it at the finish. 30 laps to go. Still trying to learn everybody's names, too, so that doesn't help. Again, all these drivers in the modified series in this game are not actual drivers on the circuit, either now or at the time. All fantasy drivers. Fantasy sponsors. Well, some sponsors are real, I guess. Some of them aren't. Marvin Humphries is the driver trying to stay in the lead lap. And I believe he's running in the 18th position right now. So what is Spicer going to do to get around him? He looks low off turn 2 to the inside into 3 and 4. Oh, contact. Trying to clear Humphries. He does clear him. Very risky. 26 to go. And now a big bounce off the curb by Spicer. Holds on to the lead. Luckily, the lap car was still there. Ross to the inside of the lap car now, though. All over the back bumper of Spicer. And barring maybe another accident or a huge clog up of lap traffic, that should be the last lap car of the race. Yeah, I think we're supposed to get another 1 to 3 inches of snow Thursday. Yeah, tomorrow. On top of the 10 to 14 and then the 3 to 5 we had before then. Oh no! Ross tried to take out the race leader. I can't believe that. And now all of a sudden it's about a 3 or 4 car race. Spicer overruns the corner, gives up the bottom again. A squeeze. This is going to get tight into turn 1. Ross got restless and he moved Spicer out of the way. And then out of shape again in the next corner for Chuck Spicer. Better get back down to the bottom. He's going to lose another spot. More contact. Danny Ross looked really fast in second. Spicer's got to make sure he doesn't let him go. Spicer trying to back his corners up. It's going to be tough to get around Ross with 21 laps left and no more lap traffic. Got to keep the pressure on. I didn't think he was going to move him that early. If he was going to move him, I figured Ross was going to wait to the end. And he really gapped Spicer in turns 3 and 4 that time. 20 laps to go. And Spicer, who has led almost this entire race, over 100 laps, just like at Red Bull. Spicer trying to keep it off the curbing. But now can he get close enough to use the bumper himself? It's a risky move using the bumper with these modifieds. And even after hitting the curbing that last corner, still got a shot. It looks like Spicer's a little better in 1 and 2. And off of turn 4, he looks low. For the lead again into turn 1. It's going to get tight. Oh, they door each other. And Danny Ross hangs on. He is really crowding Spicer, and now a block into the corner. Spicer almost lost second place there. 17 laps to go. This third place car's got a shot. Spicer's doing a good job hanging in there, though. Ross was stalking him for a while. Ross gaps him off turn 4. Ooh, that bounce off the curb really killed Spicer's momentum in 1 and 2. He's better on that end of the track, too, so anytime he messes up 1 and 2, just the slightest, allows Ross to get away just a little bit more in the next set of corners in 3 and 4. 15 laps to go for the Featherlite Modified Series at Martinsville. Spicer's starting to close that gap again. Look at Ross blocking it. It's going to be really tough to pass him. Looking high into turns 3 and 4. That's not going to work, especially on that end of the track. Ooh, Ross went a little bit higher than what Spicer did in 1 and 2. And Spicer's got to run into 3. Side by side for the lead again. Ross puts a little bit of pressure and hangs on again. Spicer gets loose in the center of the corner when contact's made. It definitely doesn't help him. And he's right there. Looks low, and again, Ross with the block into 3. It takes a couple laps to get to the back bumper, usually. So 11 laps to go now. Another bounce off the curb. Ross is doing everything he can to hold on to the lead. He just kind of pinches Spicer off when he gets to the inside. And that's why Spicer's not able to complete the pass when he gets underneath him going into a corner. At some point, he's just going to have to run Ross up the racetrack. Because Ross just basically, I mean, he doesn't try to door him. He just crowds him so much that Spicer can't help but to make contact. Big undercut of the corner that time. 9 laps to go to get around Ross. Spicer wants to do it cleanly, but he obviously hasn't been able to, and now he puts the bumper to Ross again. Ross is still there. Into turn 3. Oh, and he gets him back. If he didn't nose the wall, well, I shouldn't say nose the wall, but scrape the inside wall off turn 4, Looked like he was going to have a shot still to at least clear Ross. That's the thing. That third place car has the pressure on Spicer. We'll see if Chuck is going to be able to make the pass. Look at this. I mean, this is insane. Jonathan Rogers, welcome to the stream. 6 laps to go. Spicer trying to force a mistake on Danny Ross. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Pressure on the bottom for the moment. 5 laps to go now. Into 1 and 2. Driving it in deep. Ross is there. Is he going to put the pressure to him again? Oh, they touched. Every single time Spicer gets underneath, Ross just crowds him onto the curbing and they make contact. Spicer just gets so close to clearing. And we got 3 to go. He might only have 1 more shot to get around him. Two to go. Oh, he got loose. Danny Ross is loose. Trying to intimidate. There's Chuck Spicer into 3 and 4. Oh, he got loose. Ross chokes it away to the white flag. He might try to put the bumper back to him again as he drives it in deep into 1 and 2. Now he goes wide, and Chuck Spicer into 3 and 4 one final time is going to steal the win from Danny Ross. Intimidation to perfection, shades of Dale Sr. He got loose 2 corners in a row, and coming to the white flag off turn 4, it was just enough that Spicer was able to slip under him. Garrett Master 2000, welcome your mama, welcome to the stream. Racing Refresh, welcome. What a finish to race 1 of our doubleheader. Again, Nazareth coming up next. It's going to be a tough race to top. What a finish. That was the best way to do it. I mean, the intimidation factor at the end of that one. How about you? Just kind of riding in the same line with that intimidation button. What a win for Chuck Spicer. Take a look at the race results, at least the top 10. Spicer gets the win. Danny Ross second. Spicer led 98 of the 150 laps tonight. George Dennis, finishes third. Jeff McFarland fourth. He led 31 laps at the start of today's race. Kennedy finishes fifth. Myers sixth. Calhoun seventh. Glover eighth. Durbin ninth. And Donnelly rounds out the top 10. Stream is not ending. We will be running Nazareth right now. Again, we do double headers on the same stream with the modified series because these races are pretty short in length. So modified series action at Nazareth for the Lehigh Valley 150 will be next. And we will be starting from the rear in this race. So I'm going to try that. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but we'll try it. So again, don't go anywhere. Subscribe if you haven't already as well. Hit that like button. So we're about to get into race number 2 of our doubleheader. And the green flag is about to wave here at Nazareth. We're underway. Another 150 lap event. Sorry for starting streams late again. I was out of my sister's final basketball game tonight, so I want to make sure I was going to make that. But I tried to give you guys a fair warning last night as well in the video that uploaded earlier in the comment section of it, at least, that We were probably not going to stream today, but I got home just a little bit earlier than what I expected, so I figured why not. Whole season. Not worth trying to tear up the equipment early. I did get my controller, but I did not test it out before I was able to get home and stream today. So I will be using it tomorrow. George Deal, welcome to the stream. Got a clip in the grass a little bit, but nobody's giving any room to anybody, though. Making Spicer having to kind of cut the corners a little bit. Gaming Hot Plays, welcome to the stream. Ooh, boy, I thought they were going to make contact in the turn 4 there. That was really close. It's weird how turns 1 and 2 are around this racetrack. It's almost like turn 1 right there. And then it's kind of like turns 2 and 3. And then turn 4 is just a kind of like a sharp angle, flat, little cut to the start-finish line on the main front stretch. Spicer's starting to gain more ground. Sure, the field will space out eventually. This is the toughest part, though, right now, is trying to get through this traffic. Especially without wrecking the race car. Spicer already up to 12th. Uh-oh, 3 wide. I don't know if this is going to work into turn 1. Spicer couldn't have hooked that corner more beautifully. 3 wide pass to get into the top 10 in the first 7 laps. Again, only a 22-car field, but still, Spicer is on the move early. And obviously, no practice jumping into this race either, as you guys saw. We just kind of jumped right in, no qualifying. Part of why I was kind of taking it through the grass the first couple laps, trying to get used to the line on the fly. And the race car itself. Spicer up to 9th. Trying to stay low and get underneath these guys cleanly. For the most part, he's done just that. A little crowded. A little bit of a slide getting into turn 4 that time. Darwin Dempsey and the 190 currently in 5th. Looks like he's a rival of Spicer's. Not sure exactly how or why, but Spicer's just gonna kind of follow Dempsey. It's gonna help him get to 4th at least. 5th rather. Kind of an undercut. Oh, Dempsey just door checked right into the 148 of Spicer. Dempsey trying to get back. Yeah, he's definitely upset with Spicer for some reason. I'm not sure why. They definitely didn't make contact with each other in the last race. Definitely heated for something, though. Thanks for stopping by, yo mama. I think it's safe to say Spicer's got the fastest car in the field here today. That's another track I was thinking, or I couldn't think of. I think they race at Richmond too. I could be wrong on that. I know we're going to be racing at Richmond by the end of the season, but not sure if the modified series used to or still does. Tell you what, there's a lot of grip in these modifieds, though. That's the good thing going for us here, is we're trying to get used to I guess a new series on the channel, really. I race these things since I had this game, really. Christopher George, welcome to the stream. This little 3-car battle going on for the lead up towards the front as well. Those could be some of the harder cars to pass when Spicer gets up there eventually. Alternate through the different camera angles for the first time in this race today. There's Elmer Cadwell. A good battle in the finish of the Milwaukee race with Cadwell. Oh, a little wide. Off turn 4. And a slight mistake by Spicer. My thoughts on the fiery crash at the end of the Daytona 500. Yeah, it was a pretty hard hit. Keselowski, Kyle Busch got the worst of it. Austin Cindric hit pretty hard in there, too. Yeah, there were definitely a few hard hits in there. I guess my instant reaction was like, man, that was a hard hit. That was like, I think Michael McDowell won the race. It took a little bit for somebody to really state that. Like, Mike Joy called the wreck, you know, as it happened. And at the caution wave, they were going to have to go back to, you know, review everything. And then Jeff Gordon was the first guy to state, I think Michael McDowell won this race. But I was kind of thinking that, like, before Gordon even said it, I was like, I think McDowell just won. It was like, it seemed like he was ahead when the caution waved, and he was clearly ahead. Tight pass into turn 3, but Spicer did about a perfect job there. And he might try to make the move for second, and he is there. Really hugging the curbing on the inside of the racetrack. So Chuck Spicer up to second place. Kelly Walker is currently the race leader in the 132 car. Yeah, Brad definitely wasn't happy. The sad part is it seems like any time Keselowski is running up front late in these super speedway races, he gets taken out by a block. You know, whether it's a bad block, you know, or just a racing deal. It always comes down to that. You look at Stenhouse in 2018, 2017. William Byron did it, I think, in 2019 at Daytona, if I'm not mistaken. Logano did it in the Clash last year, and then obviously Logano did it there. I mean, I feel bad for him because he's so close to winning the 500, and it's just something out of his control, really, that takes him out every single time. It was frustrating. He is a good super speedway racer. He just hasn't had the luck that he did back in the early to mid-2010s. Oh, Walker hard in the wall in turn 1. That car just stopped turning on corner entry. First time he's really been in dirty air. Outside of maybe the initial start if he didn't lead laps there, but Walker was leading, had the clean air in the first lap that was led by Spicer. Going off into turn 1, Kelly Walker just drilled the outside wall. Lost 2 spots. He's now back to 4, so he lost 3 spots in 1 lap. And the lead back to 4th. That was a pretty hard hit. These modifieds draft really, really well, especially at these bigger tracks. You saw it at Milwaukee, and you're seeing it here at Nazareth. It's probably why you had 4 cars under a blanket battling for the lead there. Like, you know, Martinsville, where it was pretty much a 2-horse race for the most part. It was 3 for a little bit because of the lap traffic, but then it spaced right back out to 2 again for those final handful of laps. I know it's going to be tough to get around Spicer, though. Spicer's won back-to-back races coming into this one. 3 straight top 10s to start the year in the 16-race season. 8th and 2 first-place finishes in that order. Already lap 30 here today at Nazareth. Same amount of laps on a little bit bigger track than what we just had at Martinsville. Right around a 1-mile racetrack as far as the race track length goes. And again, Martinsville is a half-mile. Fairly flat track, though, here at Nazareth. The most underrated, in my opinion. That's a tough question. I'm going to have to think about that there. I think I got asked that within the last couple weeks. Pretty intense battle going for the lead here. Spicer's doing everything he can to hang on to it. He's got pretty heavy pressure from behind. But he's hitting his marks. Using that clean air. Shane Jones, welcome to the stream. Got caught in Logano's left rear trying to... yeah. He was just coming in with so big of a run, like he couldn't even make up the mind. Obviously, Logano is going to try to block. He's trying to win the Daytona 500. Can't blame him for that. It was like almost exactly simultaneous that Brad like just got to the left rear as Joey was coming down. Like it was almost exactly simultaneous, but the run was so big that, I mean, Logano probably was never going to be able to make that move, but that's in hindsight, obviously. You know, in the heat of the moment, it was definitely a racing deal, and Brad having the... I mean, Brad basically just got sandwiched between the 34 and the 2, being pushed by the 34 of McDowell. Was such a big run after setting back to get that run on Logano, and then Logano slightly came down. I mean, he barely came down, too. Brad basically just got sandwiched, and yeah, he got hooked on the left rear, and that turned Joey hard into the wall, and turned Brad hard into the wall. There was just nowhere for most of the field to go behind him. Or most of that lead pack, at least. Had about, what, like 13 or 14 cars in the lead pack. Austin Dillon could be considered an underrated driver. I think he gets overlooked. I mean, he's got 1 win in 3 of the last 4 seasons. I'm really trying to think of like kind of like a no-brainer underrated driver. I'm trying to think of like somebody that really doesn't give credit for the. I mean, honestly, to a certain extent, but I think we've kind of come to realize this the last couple years. I think before Kyle Busch won the championship in 2019, or even had his good 2018 season, I don't think people looked at Kyle Busch seriously enough. After winning the 2015 title, I don't really think they looked at him serious until about 2018 to 2019. And then, people are starting to have taken him more serious since then. I think the 3rd and 4th place cars just made contact getting into turn 1 because one of them went wide and about got in the wall. And they both lost time. Actually, it's just the 3rd place car there now, too. So whoever got put on the outside in 4th lost his ground, and now Spicer, speaking of losing ground, is about to lose the lead. And does at the line. Oh, man. Yeah, there's a reason why that car got really loose in the grass there. Spicer drove it down deep, but way too deep, though, to hold any sort of grip. A couple drivers out of this race already today, too. I think Kurt Busch is definitely up there for sure. Yeah, I'd say Kurt Busch is up there towards the top of that list. I was looking at like Eric Almirola too. I feel like Almirola is an underrated driver. He doesn't win a lot. He's only got 2 career wins, both on super speedways, but he runs good. I'm not going to say he gets the most out of his equipment, but he's a good driver. There's a reason why he's right around 10th in points, every year with that. Right around 10th or better in points since taking over that 10 car in 2018. He had 6 straight top 5s last season at one point in the middle of the summer. Almirola knows how to drive a race car. A little bit of crowding going on, battling for the lead here. Spicer doesn't have a lot of room as they make contact into turns 1 and 2. Travis Foster absolutely hugging the 148 of Spicer. Christian Games, welcome to the stream. There's a move to the bottom again there for Spicer off turn 4. Yeah, can't really side draft with these vehicles. I mean, he's trying to do everything he can to get around him. He's just not getting enough leeway on the bottom of the racetrack. Now he does, but he wasn't clear when he moved up. Now he's clear. He kind of self-cleared himself. We have a new 2nd place driver along the way, just kind of following Spicer up there. Almost a lap 50 already. I feel like Clint Boyer, when he was in the 14, he was an underrated driver too. Yeah, he didn't win a race at all in 2019 or 2020, but he actually had a better 2020 season than what he had in 2019, I thought. He finished top 8 points. Oh, no, I guess he would have finished a little bit. I know he finished top 8 those first 2 years. I think he finished outside the top 10 last year, now I'm thinking about it. But I mean, still, top 12 in points, early 40s. Clint Boyer only had 10 career wins, but you look at the equipment he was in, I think we kind of found out when Kevin Harvick left RCR that RCR just, wasn't the right place, because as soon as Harvick leaves RCR, he's just been on an absolute tear since winning the championship in 2014 with Stuart Haas, and that equipment had to have been holding him back, and Boyer got most of his wins with Childress. Got some wins in that 07 car, of course, with him, and in the 33, and I just don't think that was like the greatest equipment. Think about this, guys. Racing for Michael Waltrip Racing. Yes, Michael Waltrip Racing in the 15 car. And Clint Boyer almost won a championship. I really throw Clint Boyer in there as like one of the most underrated drivers of all time. I don't think people really understand how hard it is to win 10 races in a career in NASCAR. There's not a lot of guys that do that. Like, I feel like most people think that you have to have like a championship and 30 wins to have a successful NASCAR career. That's not the case. Travis Foster got really tight into turn 1. It looked like he had room underneath of Spicer, and he just kind of pushed tight. Spicer's going to hold on to the lead. Spicer did a great job keeping it off the wall. Foster loses a spot. He's now back to 3rd, but that was some pretty significant contact, though, with the top 2. Briscoe. Yeah, but Briscoe's a rookie. You can't call a rookie underrated. He just won 9 races in the Xfinity Series last year, and he's only ran 1 Cup race, and that was his last weekend in the 500, so you can't call him underrated. He's literally just starting his Cup career. And he has proven potential, at least. Richard Childress used to be a top team. They were a top team when Earnhardt was around. Harvick never really like competed for championships like very late in the season. Like, yeah, he made the chase in RCR equipment for the most part for the majority of those years through the 2000s, but he never like. It wasn't like he went into those last couple races of the season with a shot at the title. The only exception to that is in 2010 when he finished 2nd in the championship standings. That's the only season I can think of that he actually like had a shot at the title going into the last couple races of the season in RCR equipment. Jeff Burt won a few races with him, but not a ton. And like I said, same for Boyer. Oh, in the wall. Second place car again. It just seems like they get tucked in line behind the race leader, and that dirty air just pushes that front bumper to the wall, and we've seen some pretty hard contact in turns 1 and 2 with the outside wall because of it. Yeah, Newman's career is definitely a weird one. He won... Yeah, I mean, he won over half the races he ended up winning in his career, literally in his first 2 seasons in the Cup Series. 18 career wins, and what, he had like 12 in the first 2 seasons combined. And it's just a really... Yeah, that's just a really weird career. And he just... Pretty much after that, it was just kind of winning one here and there. Some of them off pit strategy, too. Very strange career for Newman. 51 pole awards, though. My goodness, was qualifying fun to watch when Ryan Newman took the racetrack from about 2002 to 2005, 2006. And it's just crazy, scoring double-digit pole awards for 4 consecutive seasons. That's just unheard of. That man knew how to run a time trial lap in his prime. Do I remember the 2000 Winston 500? No, I would have been way too young. I've obviously seen replay after replay after replay. That's honestly one of my favorite races as far as like going back and like rewatching it. The entire race from start to finish was pretty good, but obviously the epic comeback and the finish of that with Dale Sr. was pretty good. What, from like 20, outside the top 20 to the lead in 6 laps? And that was before the current package they have now. It was kind of similar as far as like how they would get the runs, but still not the same. No bump drafting involved, really. Crazy. But I don't vividly remember watching it live. I only would have been 1 year. Yeah, I would have been one. I mean, maybe a year and a half, a little less than a year and a half. I would have been way too young to remember it. I'd be lying to you if I said I did. Yeah, 17th to first in 3 laps. Yeah, he was outside the top 20. We got a blown engine on the inside of the track. Going into turn 4, it caused these guys to have to take a little bit wider entry, the leaders at least, but he should have been able to get to pit road, I would think, there. Yes. So the lap car does make it to the pits. 3 blown engines in the first 64 laps of tonight's race at Nazareth. Second race of our doubleheader for the Featherlite Modified Series. Right here on KRC, NASCAR Chase for the Cup 2005 video game. Chuck Spicer coming off the win in that first doubleheader race on this live stream at Martinsville. Again, a 2-for-1 special as we usually do for the Modified Series. It was like high sun, guys. Yeah, Dale Jr. kind of gave Dale Sr. the win, though, that day. Because Jr. and Mike Skinner were battling for the lead coming to the white flag. And Jr. took it to the apron into turn 1. And he kind of made contact with Skinner. And those two making contact, Sr. just whipped around the outside with help from Kenny Wallace. They took it 3 wide to the top, but between the contact they made with each other and Junior being on the apron and having to lift coming back on the track to keep from having a big crash that they... I don't even know how they didn't crash there. Just going back and rewatching that part of it over and over and over again on the last lap. I mean, that had like the makings of a nasty crash written all over it. I don't know how they made it. I mean, they were 4 wide back behind those guys too, just trying to check up, and Junior trying to make his way back onto the actual racing surface in 1 and 2. But yeah, that pretty much gave the win to Dale Sr. right there. There's no chance Kenny Wallace is going to get around him. With that few cars like lined up in a pack, he couldn't have gotten a big run. I think Dale Sr. was 51 when he passed away, so he'd be 71 now. Yeah, he'd be in his 70s. He didn't really, I don't think at least he would have had many more years left in him at that point. He might have had a couple of years. But honestly, kind of starting DEI in 2000, you know, you can definitely tell that was the direction he was going with, like, probably 2002, 2003. Honestly, if NASCAR would have, like, went with the chase and, you know, the major changes they were making from 03 to 04, I feel like Dale Sr. would have retired after 2003 is what my guess would probably be. I think he would have had a couple years in him, and that was it. And I don't know if he would have won another championship. He was still in the, you know, in the running, but you can definitely tell his, like, wins per season was definitely declining those last couple years. Pretty much from 98 to 2000, because even though he won the Daytona 500 in 1998, he didn't win another race that season. That was the only race he won all year. Yeah, Senior's car was scratched up too. Yeah, because they had like the number like kind of rubbed off on the side of it. I can remember that. Lap traffic right in the way right now. First two lap cars being caught in this race. Clean pass on both of them though for Spicer. As they stay high, second place car going to try to get on underneath as well. Oh boy. Well, he kind of like, he basically came out of retirement as far as like NASCAR goes. I mean, he hadn't been in a cup race in almost a decade leading up to that. He didn't run the Daytona 500 in what, like 13 years or something like that? 2007, I think, was last time he even ran the Daytona 500 up until a couple days ago. Derek Cope, that's who you're talking about. Oh, that was a bad block by Spicer getting into turn 2. A really bad block. Well, contact, he almost turned himself off his front bumper. It's heavy, heavy pressure from behind. Spicer's had the lead for a little while now. We're just past the halfway point, 49 laps to go. Or sorry, 74 laps. Get my math wrong there for a minute. I'm not going to lie, I'm tired. I had to work today, so I've been up since about 4:45 in the morning. And I usually don't stream this late for that reason, usually. Even on a day off. Like, I have tomorrow off. That's the only reason I stream tonight. If I would have had to work tomorrow getting home as late as I did, I would not have streamed tonight. But we're keeping the streak alive. Despite being tired, though, still bringing this realistic yeah, see, you can tell I'm tired. Still bringing the realistic broadcast as always. And right now, it's still a pretty good race going on right now, keeping things lively. One of these times, that red car is going to get around Spicer. Not sure exactly who it is. You know, with these generated drivers, you can never tell. Oh! Second place, though, goes hard into the wall. For a couple laps in a row, he was directly on that back bumper of Spicer. And he hits the wall and now falls back to about 4th, it looks like. In turn 1, that same spot we've seen about 3 or 4 different drivers get into the wall in. Second, my thoughts on Boyer. Yeah, I mean, Boyer had a very underrated career. Sterling Marlin is another one of those, like, all-time, like, driver, like, if you're looking at drivers that are retired that are very underrated, I think Sterling Marlin's one of those guys, too. He kind of had, like, a Martin Truex Jr. type career where, like, it took him a long time to really start winning races, but unfortunately for Marlin, he got in a bad crash at Kansas in 2002, and he was never the same after that. It was like a reverse Ryan Newman. Where Newman got all of his wins in his first 2 seasons. Sterling Marlin got most of his wins in his last, like, 2 or 3 seasons in the Cup Series. It was really weird. Or last 2 or 3 competitive seasons. Again, he raced after that crash in 2002, but Marlin had 10 career wins, I believe. No, Marlin had 8 wins. Yeah, Marlin had 8 career wins. Maybe he did have 10. He had something like that. It was like it's 8 to 10. I don't know what the exact number is off the top of my head. I know he had 8 to 10. Two-time Daytona 500 winner. Probably could have and maybe should have won it a third time. If it wasn't for him trying to pull the fender out in the 2002 Daytona 500. He almost won the championship in 2002. If it wasn't for getting in that wreck at Kansas, I don't know if Tony Stewart would have went on to win the title. Because obviously Marlin would have missed the last remaining races of the season, making it a fight between Mark Martin and Tony Stewart to begin with. Marlin was right there. Ernie Irvin's another one too. That's amazing how Ernie was off for as long of a time as he was with that bad crash at Michigan and was still able to win races when he came back, because most drivers would be nowhere near as competitive as when they left. Ernie Irvin very well could have won the championship in 1992. Very well could have done it if he didn't get in that crash. I know it's a little biased, or it might seem, I wouldn't say it's biased necessarily. I think it kind of goes back to the same thing of you don't have to have like 30 wins in a championship to have a really successful NASCAR Cup Series career. But guys like Kasey Kane or Greg Biffle, for those of you that don't know, Greg Biffle is my favorite driver growing up as a kid. But I mean, those two are like the epitome of being underrated. Like Kasey Kane, I feel like a lot of people remember him for a stint at Hendrick, which is for the most part underwhelming. You know, he won a few races, but never really contended for titles like, you know, most people thought he could have done when he first went to Hendrick. It just never happened. I think most people were thinking it was going to be like a Mark Martin 2009 kind of like season and career for Kane in that 5 car. That just never really happened. I think that move was a little too late in his career. And obviously, he still retired fairly young too, and obviously health concerns became a problem. Caused him to retire early, basically mid-season, when he retired in 2018. Though he wasn't even racing with Hendrick at that time, but still. But yeah, Kasey Kane, Greg Biffle, they both have 18 career wins. No championships, but again, 18 wins in the Cup Series. Especially for both of those drivers, because they didn't really stay in the Cup Series that long. Kasey Kane was a rookie in 2004. Retired in 2018. And he was with Red Bull Racing there for a season. I mean, which is basically like, I'd say a wasted season as far as like, he's not going to contend for a championship in that equipment. You can say the same for Levine Family Racing. So, I mean, you know, you exclude those 2 years in competitive equipment, Kasey Kane really only had 13 years in the Cup Series. 18 wins in 13 years, that's over 1 race on average per year. And he very well could have won more, too. He had a lot of bad luck when he raced for Evernham, especially his rookie season in 2004. His rookie season, he could have had like a Ryan Newman-like rookie season where he could have won a good 6 races or so, at least, but just never came to be. And then for Greg Biffle, he contended for championships pretty much since 2004 on, which was his 2nd season in the Cup Series. He had a runner-up season, I think, in 2000. I'm way too tired to think. 2005 or 2006. He finished 2nd and 3rd in points in 2005 and 2006, but I can't remember what year he finished 2nd, what year he finished 3rd off the top of my head. I want to say 2005 is when he finished 2nd, and then he finished 3rd in 2006. But I mean, he was a championship contender there for a couple of years with Roush, and again, that was like only 3 to 4 seasons into his Cup career, and he only raced from 2003 to 2016 with Roush his whole time in the Cup Series. And I mean, pretty much Roush in 2015 and 2016. Yeah, Biffle was on the decline. You know, with his age, he retired, I think, at the age of 46, if I remember correctly. So, kind of stinks there, too. Kelly Walker just banged into the wall into turn 1 now. Another problem, they put the pressure on Spicer. And Spicer's just not making mistakes. Second place car can only ride in line long enough, and then into that high speed turns 1 and turns 2. They just can't hang on to it. One more lap car right in front of the leaders. 10 wins for Marlon. Gotcha. Yeah, okay. 10 wins, 2 Daytona 500s. It's not a Hall of Fame career, but then again, I don't really know what that, like, echelon of a Hall of Fame career is. He was around in the Cup Series for a while. He was a journeyman driver for the longest time. Took him 10 seasons to get that first career win. And it was in the Daytona 500. Once he got it, he won it again the next year, and he was really, really good on the super speedways. He won a couple races at Talladega as well with that Morgan McClure team. Spicer finally gets underneath the lap car. Clear off turn 2. Lap 100 this time by 51 laps to go at Nazareth. Alternate through the different camera angles for the final time in today's race now. I was looking at the chat too long. And Spicer's about to lose the lead on the outside. This is going to be one heck of a move from Kelly Walker if he can complete the pass on the top. But he wasn't able to do it. Surprised he hung in there as long as he did. And now the bottom's open! Spicer! Contact with Walker. We've got a race for the lead. It's like pack racing all of a sudden. Spicer's got to be careful with these blocks. Obviously getting very aggressive with them, trying to hold on to the lead. Lack of concentration is really starting to kick in. Not because we're doing a doubleheader, but again, it's mainly mental fatigue and me being tired right now. Trying to reel it in. Spicer's clinched the most laps led now, leading that last lap at the line. So that will be 10 bonus points for him. He's now led the most laps in 3 of the first 4 races of the season, and Travis Foster might have ran him a little wide. Foster, it's going to be a really tough pass. Oh, Spicer went way wide. Hang on. Another car to his inside now. Trying to hold his line on the top. Foster's about to lose the bottom of the track now. And what is a very intense battle for the lead. Look at how quickly Spicer fell back. Oh, contact with the leaders. Foster just door checked Spicer. Spicer's all the way on the apron there. He's on the apex. Trying to make it back into turn 1. Boy, that got crazy. At least he found himself some pavement to run down there. Foster just kind of sent him wide. going to be a tough pass for Spicer to get around Foster. Foster keeps door checking him. And clear off turn 3. And Foster's just going to kind of follow this 148 of Spicer through the field once again. It just seems like we get into the final third of these races and business just picks up so heavily. You're seeing it again here. Good road course drivers. Talking about now in NASCAR or just like in history of NASCAR, like who are the best? Oh, loose into the wall. Hard contact. A few cars involved. George Myers just drilled Spicer. Spicer got a little tight into turns 1 and 2, and he drilled the car to his outside. It went completely around. Pretty heavy damage to the back of Spicer's car. He hit the wall pretty hard to his outside as well. .40 laps to go this time by. That was a pretty hard hit for Spicer, and now the race leader's got about a 2.5 second lead. It's going to be tough for Chuck to run him down. I mean, that car's got to be pretty heavily damaged now. Hamlin's gotten even looser. Late in this run, again, no pit stops or cautions in the modified series. Otherwise, you probably would have seen a caution right there. Current, obviously, Chase Elliott's hands down the best. Martin Truex Jr. is a really good road course racer. I think Ryan Blaney's up there in the top 5 as far as road course racers right now. Kyle Busch has had multiple wins on road courses. Brad Keselowski's good at Watkins Glen, but that's about it. He's inconsistent at the Roval the few years they've been there, and he hasn't been good on the Daytona road course a couple times they've been there between the Clash and the points race last year. He struggled at Sonoma mightily in his career. So for whatever reason, Brad Keselowski's good at Watkins Glen, but he can't get the hang of any other road course, so it's really strange with him. So I wouldn't say him, but yeah, Truex, Elliott, Kyle Busch, Blaney. Eric Jones is a really good road course racer. I think Eric Jones is probably one of the more If we go back to underrated drivers, I think Eric Jones is on that list too. I forgot to mention Eric Jones. Eric Jones is probably the most underrated driver in NASCAR. And it sucks that he's with Petty because he deserves much better equipment than that. If only there were more Toyota rides available, but hey, 2311 looks to expand. Keep an eye on what Eric Jones might do with his future. So that could be a good landing spot for him in a couple years. I think it's a multi-year deal in the 43, so I think he'll be driving that car this year and next year, if I'm not mistaken. But Eric Jones is a really good road course racer. I don't want to, I'm throwing names out there, but I do have statistics written down for my predictions video for this week, so I kind of don't want to spoil it too in depth. Help you guys with my fantasy analysis going into the Daytona road course this weekend for the Cup Series side of things. It seems like every now and then there's a lap quick enough for Spicer to close in on the race lead. The third place driver is doing a good job not really battling with Spicer right now, holding each other back, but this damage is definitely holding Spicer back alone right now. Oh! Spicer just about got wiped out off of turn 4. I don't know. That might have been Travis Foster. Spicer Lotto knew was inside. And now it's about a 3-second lead for the race leader. So right when they were just over 2 seconds off the lead and slowly but surely closing in, they're now even further behind the 115 car. We've seen some good finishes here in the last 2 races in which Spicer was able to win at Milwaukee and Martinsville. Can he pull off a similar feat here today at Nazareth after already clinching the most laps led earlier in the race? 30 laps to go this time by here at Nazareth. And it is time to wake up. He's going to want a shot to get back into this. By the way, that was another hit to the left rear that was already looking a little on the soft side with the heavy damage. Yeah, it's not as technical of a road course, at least with the stock car portion of it. Really fast. Definitely built for stock cars, but I mean, still, it does take skill. I mean, you look at, like, the road course ringers that have won that race before, like Robbie Gordon, Marcus Ambrose a couple times, A.J. Allmendinger, that have won cup races there. Jeff Gordon obviously was really good on road courses, dominated there. Chase Elliott, Martin Truex Jr. has won there. So, I mean, there's some really good road course racers that run well there, so it does take a good road course prowess. As I mentioned, Kyle Busch has won there a couple times. It takes a guy that is really good on road courses to win there, but for whatever reason, Keselowski's like that oddball of drivers that usually doesn't run well on road courses, but can run well at Watkins Glen. Is it easier as far as like technicality of the corners? Perhaps, but it's a lot higher speed corners though too, compared to any other road course. So honestly, in my opinion, it kind of evens itself out as far as where you would, lay out the Watkins Glen stock car configuration of the road course versus like a standard road course or a street course. Okay. Well, you gotta figure though, the first half of that track is still like the same regardless of the configuration that they would run at Watkins Glen. It's like after you get through the bus stop is where it like really changes. Instead of going off into NASCAR 5, that's where it starts to kind of like branch off into some unknown territories for the Cup cars. Spicer's car is absolutely killed right now after that contact, and obviously it started with when he hit the wall, but he's got company from behind him again. 2.7 off the lead. He's trying to hold the bottom as good as he can. There is lap traffic right in front of the 115 car. It's like 1, maybe 2 lap cars up there, and that's about it. Gas prices going up, yeah. Gas prices like a week ago was like $2.16, $2.17 where I was at in some places, and when we were going to my sister's basketball game today, it was like $2.66, $2.67. Like, it skyrocketed so quick. Like, I'm talking like 50 cents in like 5 or 6 days, which is insane. We've had it pretty good for a while though around where I live. I remember when COVID first started, gas prices were like really low, like a 160. Actually, I think it was lower than that. I think there was this gas station when I was working in Toledo at the time. This BP that was like really cheap. Like I'm talking, I think the cheapest I paid for it was like 117, 118. Another hard hit into the wall for another driver that pulls up in line behind Spicer, but that time, obviously, with Spicer running second instead of in the lead, it was the third place car. It's going to free up a little bit of room for him again, though. So he continues to try and hunt down the race leader with 21 laps to go here at Nazareth. That one mistake, battling in traffic, And really, it wasn't a mistake that led to him being in traffic. So much he lost the lead and that Foster got under him. Tried to tag him earlier. And dropped Spicer back to 5th. Then started working his way up again. And then got door checked again by Foster. And obviously about got turned that last time. Most frequently when he was about 2 seconds off the lead about 7 laps ago. So he is trying to run back into it. But to win 3 in a row for Spicer, he's going to need a lot of help in these last 20 laps, but he is not going to mail it in. Yeah, Texas has been going on some like record low temperatures. A lot of ice storms and stuff too. Freezing their power line, or well, yeah, kind of power lines, I guess too. But their water lines, their power lines, out of power, out of water. I heard Eric Estep's been out of power there for a few weeks. He's from Houston. He said it was like 7 degrees the other day in Houston. I didn't think it got I didn't think it got that cold down there. Man, as much as I want to keep this stream going too, which I mean I plan on ending it after this race anyway. I really want to get to the end of this race. Like I'm really tired. This is probably the most tired I think I've felt in the stream in a long, long time. Been pretty good with getting good sleep lately, but just the mixture of having to work earlier today. If I didn't have to work today, it wouldn't bother me running this late every once in a while, but there's a reason why I don't do it. We'll be starting earlier tomorrow. Busch Series action on the channel here on NASCAR 05, Chase for the Cup at Rockingham. Coverage starts at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, again, right here on KRC. About 2.1, 2.2, probably closer to 2.2 consistently at least. Spicer trails the race leader. He's got 2 lap cars in between the top 2 as well. Probably going to cost him time to get around him. It is going to be really tough for Spicer to get to the lead. I'm struggling here through this with the broadcasting, but I think I've stumbled more over my words in the last like 10 minutes than what I have the entire stream combined. Like every couple minutes I'm slurring my speech. Heat wave in New York. Yeah, I heard it was like in the 40s on the East Coast. I don't even remember the last time it was in the 40s here. Like late November, mid-November. Oh boy, this is going to be risky. 3 wide under the lap cars, a little bit of contact. Trying to just send it into turn 4. He definitely used both those lap cars up a little bit, but you can tell Spicer is hustling this race car right now. He does not want to run out of time trying to race for the win. It does not want Foster to be the reason why he is not going to win this race. "12 laps to go this time by on a track in which we're having about 25 to 26 second lap times. .365. Where do you live again, Tim? State-wise? My goodness. It's been a while since gas has been over $3 here in Ohio. That's one thing we kind of have that's somewhat good, is that our gas prices are usually fairly cheaper compared to other states. Like I know when I travel for these different NASCAR races, it seems like the further east I go, the more expensive it gets. But if I, same thing with like Illinois, when I went to Chicago, that was pretty expensive too. But like whenever I go down south, like Tennessee, Kentucky, and Kentucky, I thought Ohio's was cheap. Michigan's usually pretty expensive when I go to Detroit a lot. I haven't gone there in a long... I mean, it's been over a year. like twice a month I was going to like either a Pistons, Red Wings, or Tigers game. And then COVID hit. I was pretty much doing that, yeah, about twice a month since I graduated high school, on top of traveling to different races. That's like just my hobby, is just traveling to sporting events, but obviously when I travel outside of Detroit, it's usually NASCAR. Annapolis, gotcha. So Maryland. Oof. A little wide off turn 4, and that messed up the entry into turn 1 as well for Spicer. .7 seconds off the lead. There's one more lap car that might get in the way of the 115 car, who we're not sure exactly who that is yet. Sorry for that. But the generated drivers in this modified series, it's hard to remember all 22 of their names. We're only in the 4th race. I mentioned by about the halfway mark, after about 8 races, we should get them all named properly. We know our driver's Chuck Spicer. He's trying to go for 3 wins in a row. At least he can keep that top 10 streak alive, barring a complete disaster in the last 6 laps. Lap car right in front of the leader, and this is going to be the moment of truth here. He's really flatlined those last 3 laps. He cut it down to about 1.6, 1.7, but he is not gaining any more time. Well, the pass is made. Spicer's actually seeming like he's slowly losing time. 5 laps to go. And he just, for the life of him, cannot run down the race leader. I wouldn't say Allmendinger's necessarily like an underrated road course driver. He's got a lot of career statistics that are a huge plus, not only in NASCAR, but outside of NASCAR. Comes to road course racing. 1.6 is the difference between first and second. 2 more lap cars right in front, actually about 3 lap cars, not too far in front of the race leader, but is that going to be enough time for Spicer to close the gap? 3 laps to go, I just don't think so. Barring a mistake by the race leader, it is going to be tough. And near impossible for Spicer to gain a 2.5 seconds in these last 3 laps. He's barely gaining, if he's gaining at all. Two to go. That race leader is definitely caught behind that lap car, but I don't think he's wanting to push the issue too much right now. You know, he's got a pretty good lead. Spicer's still got to get around Darwin Dempsey, and Dempsey is one of the rivals of Spicer. Spicer going for it. Man, he was getting crowded all the way off of turn 4 and pretty much all the way into turn 1. He was getting crowded by Dempsey. So much for the late charge with the white flag already in the air. Through turn 4 one final time. Second place for Chuck Spicer. We're about to see who the 115 is, but the 115 will get the win here at Nazareth. George Dennis will get the win at Nazareth here today. Kind of a pretty calm last 40 laps of the race for him since taking that lead. .74 laps led for Spicer. He led the most. Dennis led 43 laps in today's race, getting the win. Remember, Spicer did start at the rear, so still an incredible performance nonetheless. But it looked like Dennis had the faster car, at least at the end. And it was mainly because of the damage that was ensued on Spicer's car when he lost the lead. Kind of tangling up there multiple times with Foster. Kennedy finishes 3rd. Elmer Cadwell finishes 4th. Myers rounds out the top 5. McMillan 6th. Foster 7th. Durbin and 8th. Ross 9th and Barnes rounds out the top 10. So that is going to do it here for some Featherlite Modified Series action. Like, share, and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Hit the like button down below if you enjoyed the race commentary, the video in general. It helps me out with the YouTube algorithm as well and getting these streams and videos recommended under other related NASCAR content. So thanks everybody for joining here on a later night than usual. We'll go back to the earlier start times again tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. NASCAR Busch Series action right here on NASCAR Chase for the Cup 2005 at The Rock. Going to Rockingham tomorrow night. So thanks everybody for watching again. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.